Hey girls, and welcome to Her Space. This is officially my first episode, and I'm really, really glad that you're listening today. So, today I want to talk about a topic that's kind of controversial and something that a lot of people avoid talking about. So, let's get into it. We're going to be talking about dating to marry, meaning dating with intention and standard, not just entertaining people who don't know what they want. We're going to break down what dating to marry really means, the red flags and green flags, and how to figure out if someone is actually long-term material. So, as I said before, dating to marry means dating with intention. It means that you aren't entertaining people who are confused with what they want or if they're inconsistent with what they want. You're looking for someone who wants something real and can communicate and actually work on their actions. It does not mean you have to plan your wedding after 2 weeks. It literally means that you're thinking long term. Do your values match? Do they treat me respectfully? Could I really realistically build a future with them? A lot of people just date for intention, or they'll date for convenience, or because they're bored. And I honestly find that so sad, because why would you waste your time with someone that doesn't even mean much to you? When you date, you should date to marry. You should be dating with a purpose. That alone filters out so many people, because so many people just date because they feel left out, not even for an actual reason. It's honestly so sad. Okay, let's be honest here. Girls are taught very early to romanticize pain. We're taught if he's distant, he's mysterious. If he hurts you, he cares. If he's confusing you, just need to try harder. And that is not love. That is emotional survival mode. Dating to marry matters because it protects your heart, it protects your peace, it protects your self-worth. It shifts you from please choose me to I'm choosing wisely. And that shift changes everything. And it's so sad that girls have to think like that's what we're taught to be, like what to do, you know? We don't really get that kind of conversation on what kind of guy to look for. It's almost sort of what you see is what you go for, or the opposite. And I feel like that's something that parents need to teach their, not their kids, but their teenagers, how to love right, how to be respectful. Okay, for this segment, dating for attention versus dating for intention. I can't speak too much on this because this doesn't align with me, but I've seen it from a lot of girls that don't realize, but sometimes they date because they want love. They date because they want to feel chosen, they want validation, they want distraction, and they want to feel wanted. And that doesn't make them weak, it makes them human. But dating to marry asks you to pause and ask, am I dating from fullness or from emptiness? Because when you date from emptiness, you tolerate those mixed signals. You tolerate the bare minimum, the dishonesty, the disrespect, the inconsistency. And dating to marry means you don't entertain chaos just to feel something. That isn't the way that you want to live your relationship life. You know what I mean? You want to feel secure and happy, not like you're too much to handle because of what some guy says. And honestly, I feel like it's more of a guy problem than it is a girl problem. Dating to marry is also about checking compatibility. You have to ask yourself, can we communicate without fighting? And just a side note, it is okay to have those little arguments in a relationship. That's showing that you can express your emotions in other ways that when you two don't see eye to eye. And a lot of people think that, oh, you can't argue, but it's bound to happen. You and your partner are not always going to have the same look on things, and sometimes you let your emotions out, but it is not okay for it to be constant. You will have those moments of arguing, but you need to take those arguments and that time to learn what made them react that way. How can you communicate in a way where they don't get mad and you feel heard? And continuing with the asking yourself, can we solve problems together? Are we both growing? Do we both want similar things in life? Long-term relationships are not built on vibes. They are built on effort, and they're built on transparency and honesty and teamwork. And when you're building a relationship, you want a firm foundation. That's so important before you get into a marriage. You want to have that firm foundation. You're not going to know everything about your partner, but it takes time to learn your partner, the way they react to certain topics, the way that they react in general. And I honestly think it's kind of beautiful learning that side of your partner, learning, okay, how can I navigate through this a different way where they aren't getting hurt, but I'm also getting heard, which is a lot to sit and think about, but it's very important you have those kind of discussions with your partner. So when it comes to dating to marry, you stop romanticizing red flags. So when you notice inconsistency or avoidance or lack of effort or disrespect towards other or no accountability, either that's something that you're like, okay, this isn't aligned, or you talk about it with your partner. Because if it's somebody that genuinely wants you, they will take what you have to say and work on it. You can't force somebody to change, but what you can do is be like, hey, I need more effort from you. I don't believe that I'm getting the same amount of effort that I'm giving to you. And your partner hears you and he or she changes, that is one thing. But if it's consistent and either you've said something, then maybe you aren't aligned. You don't want to think, oh, I'm just going to keep going until I fix it. No, it does not mean, no, you can't do that. But dating to marry doesn't mean you have to expect perfection because everybody was made imperfect. It means that you expect effort, respect, and growth. And there's nothing wrong with having conversations being like, hey, I want you to respect me more. You can have those conversations. I'm not saying that you notice these things and you're like, whatever, I'm breaking up with them. It's important that you communicate with your partner the way you're feeling about what they are doing towards you, because it is also a way for them to learn how they are treating you and think, okay, this is something that I want to work on and fix. And there's nothing wrong with that. Something that is important to me as a soon-to-be young adult is emotional maturity when it comes to relationships. We're still at this age where we are ourselves getting into these serious relationships and figuring out how to navigate through all the emotions. How do we go forward and not hurt each other? Am I reacting in a way that is making him react? Like, there's so many things to talk about when it comes to emotional maturity. So when I talk about this, it's okay to not have it all figured out. You know, you are learning, you are growing, and there's nothing wrong with that. And they are learning and they are growing and they're figuring it out. And that's why it's important to care about how somebody handles conflict and how they communicate, how they treat others, how they take responsibility, how they grow. Those things are important to care about when you're dating to marry. And it's important you have those kind of conversations if they aren't communicating the way that if you're having trouble receiving what they are saying, it's important that you communicate to them about how they communicate. I don't believe that breaking up is the first thing that should run through the mind. It should be, okay, how can we navigate through this so we don't give up on each other, but we grow together and we build together? And a lot of people talk about butterflies. Yes, there's butterflies. They happen throughout. Sometimes they lessen, but just because butterflies fade, the character doesn't. You can't just ask, do I like them? You have to ask, can I grow with them? Do they make me feel safe? Do they respect my boundaries? That is so, so important. So if faith matters to you, this part is important. Dating to marry means you don't let feelings override discernment. You pay attention to peace versus anxiety, consistency versus confusion, alignment versus compromise. God does not rush you, God does not confuse you, and God does not pressure you. Dating to marry means you trust your timing, your growth, your waiting, your wisdom, even when your feelings want answers now. Because, we're so impatient, we want all the answers now, and I'm guilty of that too. But it's so important we trust God's timing on who He brings into our life. And it can be hard. It can be hard, but put it into prayer. That's the one kind of advice that I can give when it comes to this. Put it in your prayer. I promise God will answer your prayers, maybe not right now, but at some point He will. And He'll show you it in other ways, sometimes not even directly. How do we date with intention? Well, how you date with intention looks different for everyone, but it really should be clear communication. You should be able to talk about things and understand one another. Another is honest boundaries. There are nothing wrong with boundaries. So many people think of boundaries as rules, and it kind of makes me mad because there is a very big difference between rules and boundaries. There's nothing wrong with having boundaries. I have boundaries in my own relationship, and it's just a way to respect each other. It's not a way to put rules in front of us. Another thing is emotional awareness, self-respect, and it looks like not forcing connections, not settling for attention, choosing peace over chaos. It is quiet confidence. And a lot of people will force connections because they really want something, but that is not how you build something with someone, by forcing it. You let time take its place, and if that's the person for you and you are able to build connection more and more over time, that's one thing, but forcing it is not. They're probably not your person if you feel like you have to force a connection with them. When you're dating intentionally, conversations change. You talk about your values, your faith, your goals, your emotional health, your boundaries, your communication styles. You don't talk about it all at once or aggressively, but you talk intentionally. You're not interrogating. You're learning about the person. And it's such a good way to get to know one another. Even if it's repetitive conversations, as time goes on, your values might change. There's nothing wrong with having a check-in, being like, hey, do our values still align? There's nothing wrong with having those kind of conversations, because you do grow over time and things do change. Your views change, your emotional health changes, your boundaries might change, the way you communicate might change, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as you are communicating it to your partner and they're able to understand and learn from you as you do the same for them. If you are single right now, there's nothing wrong with that. You are preparing. You are growing yourself, and you might not even realize it. You are learning, you are growing, you are building, and learning your worth. You are learning how to protect your peace and trust the process, and the right love will meet you there when you get there. It is all part of God's plan, and you just have to trust it. All right, everyone, that is it for today's episode. Thank you for being here today. I hope this helped you think about it differently about who you give your time and energy to. You deserve effort and consistency. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow and like. Feel free to comment recommendations for other episodes. And remember, growth takes courage, and you never have to walk through it alone. If this episode spoke to you, share it with another girl who might need it. Remember, stay grounded, stay honest, and take care of yourself. You're not alone here, and this is her space.